Every Indian today is aware of Subhash Chandra Bose's courageous leadership and out-of-the-box approach during India's freedom struggle. But did you know that Netaji, as he was lovingly known to his followers, was a master of disguises and used this potent skill to fool the British and escape their clutches? Netaji had been imprisoned in Calcutta in July 1940 and was due to appear before the British court on January 26, 1941. He wanted to enlist Germany's help in India's freedom struggle. But this was impossible sitting in a Calcutta prison. So, he hatched a plan. Netaji starts a fast until death in prison. His health fails, and the British government is forced to grant him bail. On December 5th, they move him to his house, where they place him under vigilant house arrest with men from the Bengal CID patrolling the Bose residence. They plant agents inside the house and even secretly use some of his relatives for information on Netaji. Netaji starts growing a beard and secretly sends a telegram to his forward bloc party leader Mian Akbar Shah, who is at the northwest frontier province, which is in modern-day Pakistan, along the Afghan border. The telegram reads, "Reach Calcutta, Bose." Netaji also sends for his nephew Shishir and asks him a strange question. "How well can you drive, Shishir?" The 20-year-old Shishir has never even driven to the outskirts of Calcutta. Mian Akbar Shah boards a night train from Peshawar and arrives in Calcutta. He takes up a hotel room and visits Netaji the next day. Netaji tells him, "I intend to go abroad through the tribal territories of Kabul, Akbar. You have done this before, so help me." Akbar advises Netaji to travel to Peshawar by train. Netaji also informs him that he intends to wear his black sherwani and disguise himself as a Muslim insurance agent. Akbar suggests a name, Ziauddin. Over the next few days, Shishir and Akbar buy a brown long coat, broad pajamas, and a black fez-type coat. Shishir also gets a set of visiting cards printed for insurance agent Muhammad Ziauddin. Netaji tells his comrades, "It is time to rise and do something for the freedom of our motherland." And this is what the trio plan. Netaji would openly announce that he is retiring to the Rishra garden house of Shishir's father in order to convalesce. Once there, Shishir would drive him secretly to Burdwan or Asansol. But they soon realize this plan has flaws. If Netaji announces he's moving, this would immediately raise the suspicion of the British, and the Bengal CID would be extra alert. The plan is aborted. Back to square one. It is soon clear to the men that the best approach would be to escape from Calcutta from the very house Netaji is currently under house arrest in. Akbar leaves Calcutta and returns to the northwest frontier province. Netaji makes an announcement saying he is going into seclusion within the house when he will not meet anyone for the next few days. The Bengal CID don't make too much of this, but another problem presents itself. Netaji's brother's pet Alsatian. The dog roams free in the compound at night to keep the grounds safe. If it is suddenly chained, this will rouse suspicion. But luckily for Netaji and Shishir, it attacks a visitor and is chained after that. On 17th January 1941, Netaji finally decides to go through with the plan. In the dead of the cold Calcutta winter night, he waits in disguise with Shishir and a cousin. Suddenly they hear a loud clearing of the throat from the top floor of the house. Shishir checks his watch. The clock says 1:35. One of the other cousins has played his part. The three men tiptoe around the back of the big house to Shishir's car. It's a full moon night, so the trio are careful not to cast any shadows. The cousin places Netaji's luggage on the front passenger seat and proceeds to open the gate. Netaji sits in the back but doesn't shut the door. Shishir sits in the driver's seat. The cousin opens the gate, and on a very faint count of 3, Netaji and Shishir both close their doors at the same time, shattering the calm of the night. Netaji slides under the back seat. Shishir starts the car and whizzes past the unsuspecting Bengal CID men, who only see Shishir driving alone. Netaji and Shishir drive off in the wrong direction, avoiding the more convenient Willingdon Bridge since it has a toll station. They take the Howrah Bridge instead. Ultimately, they get on the Grand Trunk Road and are only relieved once they cross the French post at Chandarnagar. They drive through the night to reach Barari, which is near Dhanbad, early next morning. Shishir hides Netaji at his brother's house there all day. Once night falls, Shishir, his brother, and his sister-in-law drop their uncle off at the train station in nearby Gomo. Back in Calcutta, the next morning it is discovered that Netaji has disappeared. Rumors start flying in all directions. The rumors keep getting wilder till a week later, All India Radio announces that Netaji has been arrested in Dhanbad. Indians everywhere are distraught. Their hero's brilliant escape plan foiled. Netaji's family is heartbroken that all their efforts were in vain. But the Associated Press of India contradicts the All India Radio report and says no such arrest happened. The people of the nation are now confused. But at least there is hope again. So what really happened to Netaji? After Shishir and his family dropped their uncle off at the Gomo train station, he did get on the Delhi Kalka mail disguised as the insurance agent Mohammad Ziauddin. On January 19th, Mian Akbar Shah was waiting at the Peshawar cantonment station along with 2 other forward bloc members, Muhammad Shah and Bhagat Ram Talwar, to welcome their friend Ziauddin. Their Tongawala recommended a good Muslim hotel for the tired insurance agent. So Ziauddin checked into the hotel. Later, he was shifted to the house of Abad Khan, who was a trusted friend of Akbar's. Back in Calcutta, there is still no solid news of Netaji. People start spinning their own theories as to his whereabouts. The British Central Intelligence is livid with the Bengal CID and take away the Bose file, as the case is called, from them and give it to the Punjab CID. A massive and intense countrywide search for the elusive Netaji begins. On 26th January, the same day he was due to appear before a British court in Calcutta, Netaji, disguised as a local by his companions, leaves Peshawar along with Bhagat Ram Talwar, Muhammad Shah and a guide. They maneuver their way towards Kabul through the rough terrain south of the Khyber Pass. The Punjab CID has reached Peshawar by April. They practically raid the city, turning every stone in Peshawar to look for the elusive Netaji. Through spies, they round up all the men who helped Netaji, Mian Akbar Shah, Abad Khan among them. They are arrested under the Defence of India rules and interrogated for information on Netaji. When these tactics are unsuccessful, the men are handed long prison sentences. On 23rd July, authorities at the Indo-Afghan border stopped 2 travelers, one young and one old, on their way to the holy shrine of Adda Sharif. The older man is a Maulvi called Ziauddin Khan Lalpure, who has suddenly been struck deaf and dumb. His younger companion Rehmat Khan Lalpure explains to the authorities in Pashto. They are going to the shrine to seek Allah's blessings for Zia's recovery, explains Rehmat. In Kabul, Zia Bose miraculously finds his speech and hearing at Uttam Chand's house, who is a friend of Rehmat Talwar's and a great admirer of Netaji. They reach out to the Russian ambassador, but he refuses to believe Netaji is in Kabul. So they take the only path left, contacting the German mission. Meanwhile, a local spy is shadowing the duo. After a few nervous days, the German mission responds positively. They inform Netaji that they will arrange to send him to Berlin or Rome at the earliest. The German embassy in Moscow is asked to procure a passport for Netaji, but red tape seems rife among even the German bureaucracy, or so it seems, and anxious days go by in Kabul's winter for Netaji and his companions. One day, the Afghan spy who has been tracking Netaji's every move turns up at the Chand's house and threatens to go to the authorities with Netaji's whereabouts. After negotiating with him for hours, Netaji realizes the man is after money. He is forced to bribe him with his rolled gold watch, which stylishly has the number 12 in red. This was a gift from his father, and thus a great sacrifice for Netaji. The things one must let go for the motherland. It is now February 17th and there is still no word from the German mission. Netaji is tense and worried. Something has to be done soon. He contacts the Russian ambassador again, but there is no response. Netaji continues to worry over the next few days. Meanwhile, back in Calcutta, people are starting to give up hope as no news of Netaji is forthcoming. The Punjab CID, though, is not giving up. They continue to hunt for the leader, though without much success. On 20th February, bad news arrives for Netaji from the Germans. There was trouble at Moscow for the passport. Frustrated with the delay, he considers an alternate escape plan: crossing the Russian border via Khanabad. A bus ticket to Khanabad is purchased for Netaji, when suddenly a message is received from the German mission after much persuasion. Russia finally gave its assent to issuing Netaji an Italian passport. On March 17th, 1941, at 10 in the morning, nearly a month after he had purchased the bus ticket, Netaji bids a sad goodbye to Uttam Chand's family. Uttam Chand and his family are overcome by worry for Netaji's safety, but Subhash Chandra Bose is now carrying a new identity, that of an Italian named Orlando Mozzata. Accompanied by a German, Dr. Weller from Kabul, they drive to the Russian frontier and successfully enter Russian territory. On 20th March, Bose boards a train for Moscow. Netaji arrives in Moscow on the 27th and stays in the Russian capital for the night. The next day, he boards a plane for Berlin. The Punjab CID has almost given up hopes of catching Netaji. The mood of somberness engulfs Calcutta like an epidemic, and a feeling of uncertainty descends on the city. Unaware of his whereabouts, the people of Netaji's city are fearing the worst, till they are stunned to hear this announcement on Germany's Goebbels radio service. India's most popular leader has arrived in Berlin to ask for Hitler's help in delivering India from British rule. A German magazine carrying a picture of Netaji with the caption, "India's great leader and former president of the Indian National Congress, who some time ago had mysteriously disappeared from India," safely reached Berlin on March 28. The people of Calcutta rejoice, but silently, lest the British see them.